Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be continuing the web development series. Today we are going to continue with CSS and HTML, and if you didn't watch the previous episodes, I do strongly recommend you to watch those first because it will help you to better understand what we are discussing today if you watched my previous episodes. So without any further ado, let's get started. Okay, so I have right here Sublime open. You can see this is all that we did last time. At the beginning we talked about inline CSS, even though I didn't mention that it is CSS. These are CSS properties, and we discussed this when we talked about attributes. This is the style attribute, and we put inline CSS here. The second one that we talked about is the integrated CSS, and this we actually mentioned, and this is the thing that we did last time. So we have the style tags over here, and all of our CSS information is between those two tags. And here we talked about how to put properties for tags. So for instance, for h2, and we could put anything. So we could put p for paragraph, we could put ul for all unorganized lists. Anyway, we talked also about IDs, and we put ID for this one. We talked about how you can use IDs, and then we talked about classes and how to put classes to make, subdivisions of a certain class. So tags that are in that class. So basically the best example that we can explain this to is if you have a class, it's like saying I have a book, but you don't say property, you say general properties. It has covers, it has pages, but you don't go into detail of title, how many pages, how many words or anything. So that's what the ID comes in. So for instance, I want all so I'm gonna just do this real quick. So class, my first class. Okay, and into important, we're going to take all these properties. Okay, so what we can do is, so all of these are my first class, and they have their properties. But this certain h2, so this certain book, I wanted to have a certain number of pages, a certain number of words. So you want to go in a bit more into detail. So for instance, I'm going to go for position relative, and I'm going to explain a bit, and I'm going to go left 50 pixels. Okay, so what I'm doing here, position relative, so position specifies about the position, really clear. Relative is, for instance, I have my start position that it should have been at the beginning, and I put it leftwise 50 pixel compared to our start position, so it is relative 50 pixels to our start position. So that's basically what it does, and it is at the right. So basically what that means is that we put it 50 pixels compared to the start position at the right. And the best way to actually remember how this works is to put know that they are inverted. So if you put left, it's gonna go to the right. If I put top, well, it's going to go to the bottom. If I put, so yeah, so basically the relative, so the way I remember that is the start position, the one that it should have been at the beginning, is 50 pixels to the left relative to our current position. So that's basically, so I want this certain properties for this, or let's say I want margin, or no, border. I'm gonna put it solid, 1 pixel thick, black. So what this means is that we have a solid border So it's a continuous line, 1 pixel thick, and it's black. So if I go here, you can see that. Now, since this is a heading, it's gonna go all the way to the end of that. But if I put, let's try and put width. So width, I'm gonna put that 70 pixels right there. And you can see it just became like a little box. But if I put 370 pixels, it's gonna be like that. So basic enough until now. So the width and height, just control the width and the height of the whole element. So that means even the quote can be like a little box, and when it reaches its end, it's gonna go on to a new line. So that's basically what you do with width and height. You have this position, you can put relative, you can put absolute, but you can't really put like this, so just gonna wait a minute. Yeah, so you put like that. You have position relative right here, you have position absolute, you have multiple positions. We're going to discuss that in another episode more in detail, but I want all of this, just not to occupy all the space right here into this. And I want it to be an external CSS because it helps you with organization. So if you have multiple files, one for each thing, it is really, really helpful than having everything into one file. So this contains all the information of what should be displayed when. You make a file for all your style information, so you know when to modify and where to look for it, and you don't have to scroll through a file to just get to the point you want, and it makes everything way more clear and simple. And you have one file for the PHP algorithm that runs at the beginning. I have one for the JavaScript script, so you know where to go for each thing, and it's well organized. So this is what it helps to have, external files for all these things. And to do that, we're going to go ahead and create a new file. I'm going to click Control S to save it. I'm going to call it resources.css. And we are going to take all of this information right here that we've put. I'm going to cut it. I'm going to put it over here. And I'm going to go here. Oops. Okay, so let's space this out so we can better see everything. So this is basically how it looks like, and we are going to remove these. Now we have no style information in our HTML because everything is in that file. You can see everything has just reset it to, and all the information we have is that inline CSS thing. So in order to include this file and tell the browser to look for the style information in another place, not in this HTML file, is to go here. We're gonna go link rel, and I'm gonna put style sheet. And what this does, we link a file, basic enough, then we put this rel, and then here we tell it style sheet. So we tell it that the file that we just linked is a style sheet, and it contains style information, and it should interpret it as a style information containing file. So the next thing we want to put is to indicate the file itself. So I'm going to put href, and then we're going to put here resources.css, just for it to know where to look it for. When you have online CSS files, so for instance, when you open that link in your browser and it's not on your computer, it should show just a bunch of text that looks kind of like that, and it has CSS information, and you can link it by putting that browser link. So HTTPS or HTTP if it's not secured, and everything, and just goes in here. For instance, there are open online CSS files, for instance, for special characters, or for other things, but if you have one, you can just use it there. So now that we put that file and we talked about how to put the CSS, let's talk about lists. So I created here 2 lists, but I'm gonna just delete those, and we're gonna start all over again and put everything so that we can have a list. So there are multiple types of lists. So the lists are 2 types, ordered and unordered. So what that means, you have an ordered list, so every item is ordered. Let's say from 1 to n, so if you have n elements, from so 1 to 3, A, B, C, D. Let's just do that. So ordered list, OL, and then we put list item, and we're gonna put, let's say this is the first item. And we're gonna put the second item just for demonstration purposes. This is the second item. Okay, we're gonna close that, and we're gonna close the list itself. So this is an ordered list, and if I'm gonna refresh, now you can see we have the style information as we linked it. But if I go here, you can see we have, this is the first item, this is the second item. Apparently I did that. Okay, and we have this. Now there are multiple types. So what if I don't want to put 1, 2, 3, 4? I want A, B, C, D. So you go here and put inline style, or just put into your internal style, external style, whatever you put it to, and you'll go to list style type, and we are going to put the property, for instance, 1. If I put 1, this is the standard one, the default one. It's this one. If I put A, look what happens. I put A. Just a moment. Oh, yeah, this is for the unordered list. So for lists like this one, it's actually type. So you just put type for ordered lists, and you put list style type, as we put that, to unordered lists. So you put type A, everything is A, B, you put I think now it's 1, 2, you put a big A. Okay. You put the big A, and then it becomes AB. So that's basically the types that an ordered list can have. So you have, let's just make a bit of recap. I'm gonna put a comment here. Types for the ordered list. Type 1, 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. Type A, which means that everything is A, B, C, D, so on and so forth. I actually mixed those commas up. A, B, C, D. We have type A, caps A. We have, I'm going to put the caps lock on, so A, B, C, D, so on and so forth, and type I, and type I goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth. So this is basically how ordered lists are. And now if I'm going to put unordered lists, I'm going to put it here. No. Don't want to close that. I'm going to open it. Unordered list, UL. And I'm going to put list item. This is the first item for this list. and this is the second item for this list. Okay, and you have everything like this, and I'm gonna close this. So this is an ordered list. If I'm gonna refresh, you can see it's basically like that. So list style type is gonna go in here. So I'm gonna put style. I was gonna put inline style and go list style type. Okay, and if I put circle, I'm gonna put this semicolon. I'm gonna put and enter. You can see now it's a circle. It's not a disk. So that's a disk. You know, that dot. So that little dot is called a disk because it's filled. The circle is just the outline. So here a little circle. If I'm gonna go here and put disk, which is the default one, you can see that that we had before when we didn't put anything. We have square, if I'm right, and I think none. Let me see if so look, none. Let me see if I remember another one. Okay, so these are all for unordered lists. So you have all these 4 types. Now I just remembered one more type for the ordered list though. So you put a small I, type I, not caps, and it's also Roman numbers, but they are not uppercase anymore. So you have also lowercase Roman numbers in case, you know, you want them. So for instance, I'm gonna put type I, and it's lowercase, and I'm gonna go refresh. I'm gonna see I. So 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. Now there is one more thing that I forgot to mention about organized lists. So you can put the start attribute, and what that means, it's going to tell you at which point you can start the counting. So if I put 6, I'm going to put start 6, it's Roman lowercase numbers. You can see here 6, 7, it starts at 6, 7. Now I'm going to go at type and put type 1, because let's put it or like this. You can see 6, 7, and so on and so forth. So if I'm going to put A, you know, type A, lowercase, I'm going to go refresh, it's FG, the 6th and the 7th letters off the alphabet. But this is basically how you make lists. And that's about it for this episode. If you guys enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. If you want to see more of this, click that subscribe button, and see you next time on HowToIT.